Do you hear that? Listen. That's the sound of silence. I'm going to listen to you and see if I can get anybody to chat with me. This is just chatting. Quodkru. Quad meet is called off for the night, so I was prepared to go on there, and so now that I have nothing to do, I'm going to sit here for a while and just kind of listen to the silence of the crickets. Yeah, there's crickets, but you probably can't hear them. I know. Anyway, welcome to Octavia's Quodkru live chat Sunday night. Hi, here I am. Octavia is my pen name. Donita is my real name. And DJ, I go by that too. I have many names. Over the years, I've accumulated a few, just like I have pounds, gray hair, and wrinkles. I've accumulated those too. So here we are with my little crew. I have the fish under the sea, under the sea, under the sea. They keep me busy feeding them. Not really. And then I also have my panda over there in the background. And panda is also a good, quiet, keeps me company on these evenings when I just want to chit chat. Now the only way I can do that is by listening to the chimes of my clock. I'm doing the YouTube, and I need to get the way to get the chat. Unless, let me do this other thing. I have a chat here going. I have to try to set it up. It's locked. That didn't work. If I move this over like this, there's no chat. I guess it's because it's Prism Chat. But I'm trying to do the YouTube chat. Yeah, I just see Prism Chat. I used to be able to do the YouTube chat with the Prism Chat. Doesn't seem to happen right now. No. Okay, very good. We'll move this back to where I had it. Mastodon, Quodkru, which is represented the Quadverum by Saul Montez Bradley. And I want to welcome you. Welcome everybody. As you can see, there's a message saying that there'll be no quad meet tonight. You know, God bless him. He has worked so hard. 4 nights a week he does. Beard Blather, he does quad meet, and then he has VIP, and he has the other one, which is called Yapping with Saul, and then sometimes he does quads get gold. And we're not getting a lot of support. I mean, I think he's making do, but it's not like it used to be. And I think a lot of it has to do with our, unfortunately, our economy. It's not doing so good. I have an Airbnb, and right now I did pretty good during the summer months, but October and November, it's really bad. I've got one guest in October and one guest in November. Not so well. So anyway, I am going to encourage anybody who wants to support a good group of people who are struggling to meet the challenges of keeping a private forum and chat going. It's pretty tough. Anyway, so this is why I'm going to show you my little, for me, my, what you call my homepage. It's Mastodon. It's a little different than what you get with the Twitter and all the other ones. So I apologize if you don't understand it, but if you just kind of hang in there. I have multiple columns that I use. One is people's response to my posting, and another one is the home page, which just kind of keeps people that I'm following and are following me what they post. And then there's one that I call the KISS, which is for people, select people that I've been following. We've had some people drop out, unfortunately. And as you can see, I can pull this up and go over the contacts that we have for people. I mean, I think this is probably the best I've ever seen, because people actually start off not knowing anybody, and we start off trying to get to know people and, you know, share parts of our life. And so it's kind of a cross between the Facebook of old. Facebook was really basically about family and friends showing pictures of themselves, and now I don't know what Zuckerberg's turned it into, but it is what it is. And then there's also, of course, X, formerly known as Twitter, and the other ones that are out there. And I've tried a little bit of all of them, and I haven't really been happy with any of them. So while we're reading our information here, I'm going to try to find, without displaying too much information, my YouTube channel, so I can get on this chat. See, it says I'm live. Yay! I have to mute it so it doesn't give me that thing called feedback. See, there I am live. Okay, how do I get to my chat? Top chat. So how do I do this? I'm going to pop this out. Pop out chat. And I can move it somewhere so I can watch it. And then I go back to my Quodkru and kind of go from there. Today is Sunday, and I know I have a lot of wonderful family and friends who are church-going people, so they spend the whole day in church on Sundays. I did that as a child, and I'm not really much into doing that as an adult. I'm a free-spirited kind of person. So right now, I do my church in my own ways. I pray in my own ways. Yeah, here we go. Anyway, as I was saying, I got up this morning and I decided I had this statement or a quote from an old documentary about Eddie Van Halen. And I'm pretty sure it was Eddie Van Halen, but it was about the time when he and Valerie Bertinelli were separating, and they were doing a lot of documentaries, and it was just something I saw on television. And one of the things that he was saying is that his music, obviously, I was listening to a lot of interviews that were from back in 1980, so it was a long time ago. As you know, recently he has passed away with cancer at age 65. All these things I didn't know about because I wasn't much of a Eddie Van Halen fan. Rock and roll I like, but he is a little later generation than mine, and we had the great rock and roll bands of the 70s, Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones and Eric Clapton and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They were the ones that in my generation, in my age, started everything. And then the little pipsqueaks like Eddie Van Halen came along with David Lee Roth and all those sort of people, which I loved, but they were always fighting with each other, and I didn't really appreciate everything. So this morning I was like, I gotta find this statement because it was so sweet, because great artists, rock and roll fame puts you in a whole different aspect, where people are worshiping you. That to me just sounds so difficult, and we're a society that we do have a lot of people that like to worship people, and it's not a good thing. We don't want to worship personalities because God said it best. They're going to disappoint you. We are human. We make mistakes, a lot of mistakes, sinners, you might say, whatever you want to call it, but we're very flawed, and we're going to make a lot of mistakes, and we're going to disappoint. You can't put your faith in mankind because they're going to disappoint. And there's a point where you want to be maybe positive. You don't want to be negative, so you want to have a lot of people who love you, and you want them to keep loving you. And other people who get involved with this, they want your, they want your approval. That's very common with human beings. We want to please until we don't. So that's the reason why most relationships tend to fall or fail, is because at the beginning you're willing to please, you're willing to go out of your way to do this and do that, and you're really trying your best to make something work. and you're putting your effort into it, you're putting your own personality into it, you're involved in it, and then all of a sudden it's not being reciprocated, whatever the reason is, you find yourself disenchanted by what's going on, and all of a sudden it just falls apart. So listening to the interviews with Eddie, he talked a lot about his need to always improve, to always do something different. And of course, the most people just want to do what they know how to do, and they want, if it's a good combination, if it's a good recipe or formula, they want to stay with it. They don't want to deviate from that. So he got a lot of flack from the band members because he was always trying to experiment. It was like tearing apart guitars all the time, constantly, and trying to improve them and improvise, because whatever that was on the market he wasn't happy with. And he was just a kind of a really restless soul. And he spoke like 3 different languages or 4 different languages. You know, I didn't know any of this stuff. His family were Dutch, and his dad was a musician, and they decided they had enough over there. So after the war, or when he was 10 years old, they immigrated into Hollywood or Beverly Hills because he wanted to perform as a musician, his dad. So his dad gave he and his brother lessons, piano lessons, and wanted them all to be accomplished musicians. But the thing that I found was most interesting is that he didn't know how to read music. He never learned how to read music, and he was able to pretty much fake out his piano teacher while he was like 8 years old, and he would just copy what his piano teacher would show him how to play something, and he would remember it, and he would copy it, and he would replay it. And he was able to fool his piano teacher right up until the point where I guess they moved to the United States. So anyway, he gets over here, and he picks up guitar, and he learns how to guitar, and he's kind of created his own by watching. He really attributed to Eric Clapton, but I think he got into riffs with all the guitarists, and they all started ridiculing each other about their skill and who's copying who. But I think he was an innovative guitar player. And I don't know anything about any of it, other than I listened to the music all my life, and I've always liked music. And up until probably a few years back, when my hearing and stuff is not so good, and of course the music has changed. We have rap and all that sort of stuff, so I've stopped listening to music. Not really into it. I'm getting past the age. So anyway, I found that this particular forum that I'm posting things on, what I like, and it's not always about politics. Unfortunately, a lot of people on this forum came here for politics, and some of the good reads that I would read back 2 years ago, they've kind of left the group. They're not really posting anymore. True, Saul is very opinionated, so I suppose some people have gotten their feelings hurt. You just can't be thin-skinned in this day and age, because all this wussy, wokey, wimpy stuff is just turning everybody into a bunch of wusses. I'm sorry, but people need to hear what needs to be said. And, we've got these groups of people who are able to intimidate you and bully you into thinking that you don't have the right to say that, because if you say that, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're anti this and you're anti that, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, it has nothing to do with that. Same thing, they did that with Trump. They've gone after him, and they've convinced a lot of the the nanobots to believe their lies. I have to say, everything I've learned in my entire life has been a lie. and not until I finally was able to really explore and examine why these things were all lies. And I can't get other people to think that anything more than what they hear or have been told as being the way it is. And it's not. I only speak one language. I only speak English, and I have to say the thing that I really like about Saul is that he speaks multiple languages. I don't even know how many languages he speaks. He won't really divulge that information, but it's quite a few. I've heard the word polyglot be used, and I could barely struggle with learning English and writing English in the manner in which I was expected to know how to read and write. So to be able to read and write 5 other languages, it just totally eludes me, and I really appreciate people who can do that. I've tried to develop an ear for the different languages, but just about like playing guitar and piano or any of the other instruments that I've tried to play over the years. Radio's it. I can play radio pretty decent, except for now radio is almost becoming obsolete because of the computer and because of satellites. I don't get it. Anyway, my friend Terry, she is, I haven't seen her post anything for 5 days, so I kind of reached out and said, how you doing, checking in. And so she just explained she's having trouble sleeping and that she's hasn't been able to watch the Beard Blather, which has got Thomas Richter. So unfortunately for her, I miss her. Now she came on Quad Meet a couple times, but she hasn't been on lately. And I haven't been on lately either because I've been traveling, doing other things, staying with family. So anyway, Terry sees my pal, my buddy. So shout out to you, Terry. And she even came on one of my whoop tubes. My whoop tubes. It was amazing. She's the only one that's come on and said, "Hey there, how you doing?" It's like, thank you for coming and seeing me. See, I'm saying hello. Now, Terry lives on the East Coast. She lives on the other side of the continent. So, and she should be sleeping. I don't know. She says she's not getting any good REM sleep. I sleep like a baby, so I don't understand that sometimes. Okay, so we're going to keep on going on down to the other side of this. Let's see, Quodkru. It really is a worthwhile forum, and we don't have advertisements. We don't get the spammers. We don't get the people that have tried to crash sites, and also we don't get the people that are Russian disinformation. And that's what I wanted. I don't want all the crap. I don't want all the propaganda bullshit. So anyway, I was watching a little bit of the Donald Trump speech, which was pretty interesting. He is going to pardon all the January 6 persecuted people that are being sentenced to these horrendous prison terms. I mean, what's going on here in my country is I've never seen it happen in my lifetime. It has happened, in small periods of time, and I don't know, it's probably not so unique, but it breaks my heart. It really, truly breaks my heart. So good for you, Donald Trump. You're going to pardon those guys if he gets elected. we have a long ways to go before we know who's going to be elected, and anything could happen. I'm not putting my bet on anybody. But it was a pretty good speech. I didn't really get to finish it. I could try to play it while we're here. Now, Terry posted this 6 days ago. That's one of the reasons why I was like, you haven't posted anything for 6 days. But this is supposed to be the worst car for driver privacy. And number one is Tesla, because Tesla has AI. So it gets 5 X's. And then the rest of these get 4 X's. And I can tell you why. There's Nissan, Hyundai, Cadillac, GMC, Buick, Chevrolet, Kia, Acura, and the last one is Honda, which is what I have. Now, the thing about Honda is that it has a certain kind of driving where it kind of helps you drive, stay within the lane. So it's got GPS and it's got this lane control where it keeps you in the lane, and if you start to get out of the lane, it will I don't know, alarm you, alert you, the steering wheel fights you and stuff like that. So that's all being sent to a satellite. I mean, the data is going somewhere, and that's probably why they say you don't get a lot of privacy, because it knows where you are all the time. Well, in this day and age, everybody knows where we are. I mean, not everybody, but there is something tracking us wherever we are, hands down, unless you live totally off the grid. Who does that? Nobody. Well, I guess somebody lives off the grid, but I can't even imagine living off the grid. Can you imagine? Don't think so. I mean, you have to have medical stuff like that, so no. Okay, and that's Terry's posted from 5 days ago, and I liked it. I mean, I boosted it. Let's see here. And we go on to another decision where the governor of Virginia, that would be Glenn Youngkin, he pardons the father of a girl who was raped in her bathroom, her school bathroom, by a boy, with parentheses, in somewhere. So there's a link here called the Daily Mail. And I'm not going to click on it. You can all look it up, of course, but I don't want to click on it. More information with Terry. She was posting this one interesting, weird news. It talks about more than a dozen people have been murdered singing this karaoke song. Now, the way it sounds to me is like you're singing the karaoke song and you're murdered. More than a dozen. It's very odd. So anybody know what the song is? I know the song. Hey, Terry. Hey, I'm talking about you. Thanks for joining me. What's the matter? You can't sleep? Well, if you watch this long enough, you'll go to sleep. I guarantee you. I will put you to sleep. Okay, so then you know the answer to this. What song is the #1 murdering karaoke song? Over 12 people have been murdered. I tell you the truth, I read the article, but I don't remember what I read about it. The funny thing is, it's Frank Sinatra. I did it my way, right? Uh, I mean, it's a popular song. So, I mean, a lot of people have sang the songs. I don't know why. I mean, probably that's the number one karaoke sung song ever. So you can imagine. I guess people in bars get murdered pretty regularly. But I'm not sure. Was it like they got murdered while they were singing the song, or did they get murdered going home after they sang the song, or did it show up in the repertoire that they were singing? I don't know. I don't get it. I'll have to go back and read it, but not now. All right, here we go. Back to more of my exciting, thrilling. What's this? So I was talking about Eddie Van Halen earlier, and I was reading some of the interviews they did. The guy that was a editor for Guitar Magazine, he released a bunch of his interviews that he wrote about, that he recorded on tape. So he put them on a podcast, so you can hear the Eddie Van Halen and some of the other people that he interviewed. Yeah, Terry, did you know that Thomas Richter was a writer for bass guitar magazine? I think he interviewed Gene Simmons, which is interesting because what I was reading about Eddie Van Halen is that Gene Simmons actually was the one that gave Eddie Van Halen and his brother Alex a boost in the nightclub scene. Very interesting. Yeah. So the other thing we have is Joanne, which I haven't seen much of Joanne, but that's probably because she was doing her music festival. So she's missed some time with the different music festivals that are going on right now or ending up. And she posted some music, and I just replied that music always lightens my heart. I always love music. The Daily Fail is my guilty pleasure. It's so poorly written, I'm almost embarrassed to share. The Daily Mail. Yeah, what's that other one? There's the it's called Daily, can't remember it, but it has Andrew Clavin and some of these other journalists that talk about politics. Anyway, I'm going to go on to my next post here. I posted a picture of the sailor, and he's laying down on his side. I'll get him down here in a minute. There he is. Oh, so my chat is actually showing up if I do this. I was trying to get my chat to show up before because we weren't chatting, nobody was chatting, so it actually shows up on the website. But now I lost my chat. Hold on, let's find it. There it is. Anyway, this gentleman here in the that's laying on his side, I posted him, and he is from the Pioneer Inn Grill and Bar, and he's been the greeter there in Lahaina forever, for as long as I've been going there, and I've been going there since '83. I went there on my first honeymoon, so I got married first time in '83, and I've taken my picture with this old gentleman and anybody that goes with me over the years. No, I'm using what we call Prism Live Studio. It's free. StreamYard charges you. You can use StreamYard for a little while, but then after, like, I don't know, 30 days, they want you to start paying for their studio, and I'm too cheap. I'm not going to pay for it because I don't make it any money, you know. So I'm just doing this for fun. So anyway, it's called a Prism, and it's very similar to StreamYard. I had StreamYard for a little while, but like I said, when they started wanting to charge me, I don't think so. And you can also add you can do the different channels like YouTube, or you can do, they have Trovo and DLive and Twitch. The only thing is my internet sometimes isn't very good, so the more different platforms I try to stream on, it starts to lag the quality, and Odyssey's really bad. It doesn't really, the quality has to be pretty high. You get a lot of that spinning, that buffering. I don't care for Odyssey. I mean, I know it has its pluses, and it's more complicated to use. Really, YouTube is the easiest one of all, and you get the best streaming. So I just don't really do this often enough to make a whole lot of difference. Yeah, no, I'm not going to pay for what I do. I'm just a little knucklehead that likes to once in a while give my 2 cents out there. So anyway, back to the old gentleman, the old sailor, the one-legged sailor. I have a picture of Thor standing next to him, and Thor's like, yeah, this is one of my patients. Get the idea with the leg. He's got a stub when the shark ate it off. Well, anyway, it's a kind of a tribute to Lahaina, because it's all not there anymore. It's all burned down, and it's tragic. And I've been kind of watching it, but I'm going to go back in October, and it's just kind of a mess. My condo is fine. It doesn't get in the fire because we're a little bit north of this old town Lahaina. But yeah, I've been going there since '83, and this hotel, it's been there. This doesn't tell you how long it's been there, but it's been there for since 1900, and now it's burned. It's just nothing but ashes. Too bad. So anyway, this I posted 9 hours ago. It says that Eddie Van Halen was talking about what I saw him saying. He was saying that he was trying to explain to a groupie or a girlfriend or something like that about the fact that he could never satisfy her in the way in which his guitar playing does, or something of that gist. But it wasn't said that way, and it was just kind of insightful, and I can't find it. I've Googled it, I've searched it, I've put the words in, I've tried everything I can, but so I that's my quest, is to find this statement. But in this one interview that I was talking about, he is the question they asked him is like, well, what is it like playing on stage, or what are you thinking about when you're playing on stage? I mean, it's a guy giving this guy an interview, but it's something the girls always think of. What are you thinking? And he's like, I'm not thinking of anything. It's just like, um, having sex. You're not thinking about anything. It's like, really? I'm always thinking about something, but I think it describes the guys. Definitely. Yeah. Well, Terry, I really hope that you're get some sleep sometime. Do I? Do you ever catch the Roth show? He has some great stories and insights. You know, that's interesting because David Lee Roth was. They had a really tumultuous relationship, I think you might say. There was like a love-hate where they did really well, and then they hated each other. You know, it's like it was a really, it came to a point where it was a bad relationship. I think one of the things he said is that he showed up in David Lee Roth's apartment one evening, like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and he wanted him to work on a song because he'd gotten kicked out. I guess Valerie kicked him out for being an asshole, and you know, Roth was like, probably just like, get the fuck out of here. You know, I'm not going to work with you on this song. But you know, people like that, they're so driven. They just are so driven that they can't shut their brains off, and they can't not do something. Yeah, I really don't know much about this whole thing, but I don't know when is his show, Terry? When does David Lee Roth have a show? Is it like on, I don't know, is it on YouTube or something? Like I said, I just started having this like burning desire. I'm tired of politics, and I was like, I want to find out. You know, my brain needs a break, so I wanted to find out what this is. You know what he said, but I can't find it. Darn it! It was a documentary, and I think it was on TV. So, and it was probably you know, 2000. They got a divorce in 2004. So I think it was after that when they were also doing an interview with Valerie Bertinelli about their marriage. All right, I will. I'll check out the Roth show. There was one interview in this series that I posted where David Lee Roth was. He was talking to his brother. Alex. His brother's name is Alexander, but they call each other Al and Eddie, and they were talking about how David Lee Roth kept expanding on his name. First of all, it was David Roth, and then it became David Lee Roth, and then he threw in Diamond David Lee Roth as his ego kept getting bigger and bigger and stuff like that. But yeah, he was a good front man, good singer. He was crazy wild, and they made a good team for a while. But it's a little bit, I was working full time. I really wasn't much into music during that time. So, yeah, I mean, we all need a break from politics, trust me, because it's so frustrating, and I just get so angry about stuff. And I can't, you know, people don't get it. They don't want to hear anything what you have to say. And I started listening to Saul because he was able to word things so exact that it was like, it gives me some ammunition. But then, like, I'm over, what you would say, I have too much ammunition. Because then people are going, whoa, you know, you're just some crazy, you know, one of those kind of people. And really, we're not. We're very sane. We're the most sane people ever, right? You saw Van Halen and Van Hagar. Yeah, I really do think that David Lee Roth was um, what do you want to call it? The front man, the best of the Van Halen people. Um, Sammy Hagar, he came along later. It's like a journey. I can't remember the guy's name right now, but they ditched him, and they have this new guy. And I went and saw a Journey, I don't know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago with the new singer, and he sounds a lot like the old lead singer, but it's just not the same. Not the same. Really? You listen to Hagar? I'm sorry, David Lee Roth show a lot, huh? I wouldn't have known that about you. That's great. um, yeah, there's a lot of these new that released series of this guy who interviewed a lot of the different guitar singers, not just Eddie. He also interviewed some other people too that I recognize. But I kind of grew up with the whole thing with um, the Valerie Bertinelli, the TV sitcom where it was about her and her sister. Mackenzie Phillips didn't Mackenzie Phillips die young? I don't know if it was suicide or someone killed her or something. It was. I may be mixing it up with My Sister Sam. That was another TV sitcom where Saul had made mention of her. She was stalked by this crazy guy, and he ended up murdering her, the young actress. He was talking about that on Beard Blather the other night. Not this time, but a couple weeks ago or something like that. Like, I'm watching Beard Blather kind of next day most of the time. I kind of am listening to it at night, but they talk so much about some things that are kind of over my head, so I have to kind of like ingest them slowly. Especially all the war stuff that's going on in Ukraine, but definitely we get a lot of good information out there. I'm not getting very far, am I? Yeah, there was a question about the fire in Lahaina, like what caused the fire. There's all this. Yep, one day at a time. That's it. Did you watch that? Boy, I tell you, when she married Eddie, that was pretty envious. I was looking at some of the stuff today on the YouTube, and she made mention to what's her name? Osmond, Marie Osmond. And it's like, yeah, she did kind of look like Marie Osmond a little bit. And she also looked like, there's just certain starlets that always have the same kind of facial similarities. And they always like Farrah Fawcett, she always has that facial quality that a lot of women became stars after her. So Valerie Bertinelli, she still looks pretty good for her age, but she's, like the rest of us, she's put on some weight. Did you ever watch her show? She's got a cooking show. I guess she was on Good Morning America or something like that. But I don't watch that stuff. It drives me crazy. I don't like commercials. So anyway, Timmy was talking about DARPA having some kind of laser type beams that they can point at things and start fires. But yeah, Valerie got remarried too. This is Eddie remarried, yet Valerie was the widow. Yeah. Um, but I don't know. Was Eddie still married when he died? Maybe he was. They were friends. I mean, they all got friends. What's your movie channels? Oh, because of commercials. Yeah, I know. I watch. Well, my husband likes to watch Netflix, but he likes those violent movies. He likes Band of Brothers and war movies and a lot of explosions going on, and it kind of makes me crazy. It's like, and then he's deaf on top of that, so he has it really loud. So I have to say, will you turn it down? It's like it's a little loud. Yeah, I have headaches too, Terry. I don't know. It's part of the beast. Um, okay, so I don't think the fire in Maui was caused by anything like DARPA or they had a lot of rain this last winter, but then they were very dry this summer, and there was a lot of wind, and it's been windy there for the last couple years. Because when I go there in February and then I go back in October, the wind is like unbearable. But on that particular day, it was so bad that it was so dry that people were talking about just they would have these little fires that would spring out of just from the heat and the wind, and they would usually be able to control them and knock them down so they weren't a problem. But from that day, nobody had any communications. It was a clusterfuck. I mean, geez. I'm very disappointed in the way the emergency people handled the whole thing, and I hope they have a good investigation and try to figure out. I mean, yeah, bad stuff happens, and when you have that kind of a situation. You mentioned earlier that your town was flooded in 1911. I think that was a little bit before you were born, though, huh, Terry? But yeah, it destroys the whole town. I don't know how long it's going to take before they can rebuild Lahaina, because there's all kinds of fighting going on. Yeah. Yeah, your husband. That's the thing about guys, especially. He was in the army. I don't know if your husband was in the army too, but for some reason he finds that to be more soothing than watching just, I don't know, boring old love stories like I like to watch or something. So that's whatever. And then we have here memorial of the names of people that died in the airline crash September 9th, 2001. Or it was September 11th. I was in. Oh, yeah, Dad was a town historian. That's cool. Yeah, I'm very, I lost a book when my house got flooded by the tree, when the tree hit the roof. And it's a small town historical book of the town my dad was born in Oklahoma, and his sister, my aunt, she helped on the historical society to put this book together, and it had all the names of all the people of the town. And I haven't found it. I haven't seen it. So my guess is it got damaged with the water, and they just threw everything out in that room. And it breaks my heart because I had a bunch of stuff there that I had off my genealogy, and I probably don't have it anymore. You were teaching, and I was getting ready for work. I got my alarm clock went off at like whatever 6 o'clock or whatever the time the towers were hit, and I heard them say that a plane had flown into one of the towers, and they were like going, what, huh? You know, and I was like, had to get ready for work, so I was like, that's insane. Why would a plane, you know, go into a building like that? It is too low to be flying. So anyway, I got to work, and of course everybody had the TV on then, and that's when we watched. Oh, excuse me. We watched all that horrible news coverage of the towers. It's still real to me. You know, it's as real to me today as when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. I was then, I was 62, I think. So I was like in second grade. But I was sick that day. I didn't go to school, so I stayed home. And my mom had, she was cleaning house at the time. So she went to do her house cleaning job. And I remember her calling me on the phone and just, you know, weeping and crying because he had been assassinated. It was like unbelievable. Yeah, you know, that September 11th in New York was so close to you and people on the East Coast that I can't even imagine how you guys handled it. It was pretty awful. As a matter of fact, after the 9/11, the psychology code book, the ones that we use to name our, let's see, I have it right here. DSM-5, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And they actually, because children were, you know, at that time they were watching TV and the news played it over and over and over and over again. And they felt that a lot of children became traumatized by it because of the fact that up until then we just didn't have a name for it or anything like that. So that's when they kind of changed the PTSD, where you don't have to actually be there and feel like your life is threatened. You can just be exposed to the video over and over again and seeing the towers falling and seeing people jumping out of the buildings and seeing all that. It was terrible. You know, to me, I was more shocked. I hadn't hit the sad depression part about it because it just seems so unreal. Still seems unreal. And now they're talking about, oh, well, be prepared. They're trying to come up with another plan here. Okay. How do you prepare for that? Wow. So Terry says a student got me a tissue. She was crying and weeping through watching this on TV, and some of the boys were saying stupid things, as boys like to do. And so she called them the pricks ghouls. You should have called them pricks. They would have gone, teacher, you can't say that word. There are people in there. Yeah, I know. How could you call the second tower falling to the minute? I called the second tower falling to the minute. So you knew when the tower was going to fall? I just thought that they had somehow accidentally flown into the building. I couldn't believe that they would actually do it on purpose. It just absolutely made no sense to me. And then just to see the tower fall, the whole thing, how could that happen? It's like, it really questions our paradigm of reality. It just didn't seem right. Yeah. Yeah, it was terrible, terrible. And then I remember when the space shuttle exploded too. I was at work and we were watching that on TV. Everybody was watching it on TV. Were you watching it on TV? Was that when you were teaching, when the space shuttle? And that one teacher was on it. Talk about tragedy. Okay, so let's move on to. I posted an interview with this Coast Guard fella and his family from Lahaina. There's this website called Lahaina Real Estate, and this man was, from the time the whole fire started back in August 8th, he started interviewing, and he had the satellite, the SpaceX, or what's it called, Starlink satellite, and he was going around to the different areas trying to help people who needed help and all that sort of stuff. And so I kind of got stuck watching on his channels, his interviews and such. And he started collecting a lot of money people would donate, and he's been giving it to a lot of the local churches. But it's a pretty good story about his experience, what he as in a family had to do. He lost his house, and he also lost some of his other homes that he was using on like Airbnb, and they all burned down. But he didn't lose anybody in his family, but friends and stuff. And I talked a little bit about this one guy who is he was like the yacht club there in Lahaina, about 70 some years old. They found some remains of him, so they know he didn't make it. Just stuff like that. I have not lost anybody that I know of. All the people that I know over there are fine. But what does that say exactly? I don't know. Yeah, you were in college. Okay. Yeah, he was, he started off being like really gung-ho, and he's like, fill the gap. And he got into all kinds of trouble because he was posting stuff, and then the police got mad at him for stopping off the side of the road. They installed a emergency thing where they suspended people's rights, and he wasn't allowed to film the fire and stuff like that's still going on. I saw a YouTube with um, now I can't think of the name, but it's the guy who had all those expose tapes back during the Trump days, and he got fired from his company. That's why it's nice when you have somebody online with you. You can ask them the questions. I don't know. I don't remember. I can't think of his name. He did it. He did a dance, and he was like all up on, really hitting it hard in the charts, and then he got into some trouble. Oh my God, I forgot what my God is. Okay, O'Keefe, thank you. All right, Terry, I need you to come on my show. Help me out here. Yeah, he is over there in Lahaina doing a piece on following the government. You know, what's the government doing? Well, you know, Hawaii is worse than California and Oregon and Washington in many ways. So, you know, it's fascist, and they'll do stuff like that. I mean, the way they handled the whole COVID thing was unbelievable. I mean, I never seen anything like it. In order to go there to visit, you had to go through their website, and you had to fill out all the paperwork, where you were staying, how long you were going to be there, and you had to prove that you had your COVID test, and you didn't have COVID, and then you had to also start proving that you had COVID shot, you know, the booster shots and stuff like that. It's crazy. So it's there. It's coming. It's around us. All right. So that was my idea. I was going to do this, as I was going to just kind of, when I first started going online with Quodkru, there was this jackass, I might say, who kind of waged a war with Quodkru, with Saul, and he would read this, you know, he would read the toots from like Thomas Wichter and some of the other writers that had come across when Twitter started banning everybody. And I thought, well, I could do that. You know, I could do that. But I thought it was kind of like cheesy, because he was like stealing other people's stuff, and he was reading it, and he had a good rapport. He could deliver. His delivery was good, and he caught my attention. Yeah. It was during that time, and he would read the guy's toots and stuff like that. He had good delivery. That was it. But I mean, he decided he hated Saul. I don't know why exactly he got into it for Saul. Well, Saul had kicked him off, for one thing. And he had this vendetta against Saul, and I was like, you know, why are you doing that? You know, just leave it alone. But no, he was like, oh, I'm going to ruin him. And I was like, all right, see you later. I didn't want to be part of that crazy thing. What do you think about the cashless societies? I think it could happen in other countries, but I don't think I see it happening here in the United States. But my comment to this was that the old guy, they're a bunch of old rich guys who think they're gods. You know, they think they're Odin. They can dictate to the rest of the world how we're going to handle our money. Yeah, that was Brian. And then I was trying to think of the guy that he would read threads. He was reading the stuff from he's on Odyssey. He went to Odyssey before Saul did. and gosh, I think of his name. I don't know. Like, it was pretty good. Let me just go to Odyssey and see if I can. And he might have gone to Gab too. No, that's not it. But he would read Brian's threads and he would read other people's threads too. But no, forget it. I can't find it. When I do find it, I'll let you know, Terry. It's funny how our memory, just like things that you don't listen to anymore, or you don't watch, like after 2 years, especially when you have a tree fall in your house or you have some kind of event that totally erases all those memories. It's like, who's that guy? Oh, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't like him anyway. And that's another thing. It'll drive me crazy. Until I could figure it out. I think he also went to that other platform that everybody, Telegram. Yeah, he was big on Telegram. I don't do Telegram either. It's too dangerous. Too many lurkers. Yep, inner ears and out the other. So your headaches are a little better, you think? Does it bother you to be online and have the lights in your face? Does that give you headaches? I have like real sensitive to light. I have these optical migraines, they call it. Have you ever had those? It's like if you're out in the sunshine and you get these it's like a prison around your, the peripheral of your vision, and it looks like it's cracked glass. I've had it a few times, and I'm like, wow, that's psychedelic. I mean, that's what I would think it would be, psychedelic. Yeah, I really liked Brian, when I first came on to the Quodkru. But I was there when the whole thing blew up. I saw it, and I was like, I didn't get it, like why they got so angry with each other. It was just, I didn't get it. Anyway, well, what else is going on? You call it zigzag vision. Yeah, at first when I first had it happen to me, I was like outside in bright sunlight, and I thought it was because I was having some the vitreous humor detachment, which will cause some another situation where you get all these floaters, and it's like you get these like sparklers and stuff in your eyes. That was happening about the same time, so I thought it was part of that vitreous humor detachment. But I got one just the other day, and I was like, well, I think I've had both my vitreous humors on both eyes have kind of like did that thing where it happens. That's funny. The pizza box went flying. The flying pizza boxes. That was pretty good though. I had some pretty good drama going on there for a while. It's kind of things was kind of slowed down a little bit, I would say. Oh, how did you teach? You know, I think a lot of times in my life there was a lot of things I would have done, but I would have these headaches, so I wouldn't do them. I would just avoid doing stuff. Yeah. Yep. Well, it's getting to be fall. How about you guys? Someday I want to get back there. My grandson is going to the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. And this year he's a sophomore. And he's going to be going to Italy in February, I think, next year for a trip, one of those study abroad trips. So I definitely want to get over there and see him and stop by and see some other people there. And I might run into someday. Who knows? Yeah, you can do the same when you come to California. And let me know. Let me know. It's getting kind of late over there. I think I'm going to go. Yeah, in classroom. So you'd have half your lights on, and then the other half you just let the sunlight come into there. Yeah, it's what's exciting. Oh yeah, going to see my grandson. Yeah, yeah, that would be exciting. But it'd be more exciting if I could see you guys. I want to get back east one of these days. It's a long ways. I just got back from Montana. We went to Yellowstone, and my cousin got married, and we flew. I couldn't get anyone to want to drive with me, but it's okay, because when we went to Yellowstone, we spent 10 hours going from around the loop. Have you been to Yellowstone? Hmm. What happened? I went back to my front page. That's fine. Yeah. I'm still trying to think of the name of that guy. I think he's still doing it. But like Saul says, who cares? He doesn't, he has no, who is he? Nobody. All over the lower 48. Well, then you went to Yellowstone. You saw Old Faithful? Yeah. I think I've been to most of the places now. I think Montana and Wyoming were like one of the last places I hadn't seen. But I haven't seen the East Coast. I haven't been to Virginia, and I haven't been to. I did go to D.C. and I did go to New York, but that's about it. Never forget old what's his name. Yep, I know. I won't. It's not worth remembering anyway, but. All right. Well, I think I'm going to let you go back and get some rest. I don't know. I hope things get better for you. I'm gonna keep you in my prayers. Hope that things get better. That you get some good sleep. I don't have a problem with sleeping. I love to sleep. I can sleep. I can sleep at least 9 hours. I do have to get up once in a while and go to the bathroom. That just sort of like interrupts my sleep sometimes. But I can just get up and go back to sleep. So I love to sleep. But you know what? If I can't sleep, sometimes I get allergies, and so I'll take a Benadryl just to kind of get me that little extra push to sleep. But I'm sure you've tried all those things, and it's just who you are. Yeah, well, um, that would be fun. I would love to podcast with you. Well, you know, AOL, I'm not AOL, am I thinking? They're using podcasts now on YouTube. Did you know that? I don't know how it works. I haven't really looked into it, but I'll do that. I'll look and see what it is and how you're supposed to get, and if you can have guests on your podcast where you can put together different peoples. I'm sure you can do it. So we'll just check it out. All right. You tried all and more. You've tried to do podcasts. Okay. All right. Good. We'll check it out and we'll do it. Okay. You know, the thing is, as I say, you know, Saul, bless his heart, he does 4 shows a week. I don't know how he does it. I mean, I know he does it on the road and everything like that, but, you know, it takes a lot out of you. So someday maybe he'll turn it over to somebody else once in a while, but I don't think he trusts anybody else, so we'll just have to make our own. Sleep. I'll sing you a lullaby. I forgot my lullabies. I'll have to redo my lullabies. Let's see. Sleep, little baby, don't you cry. Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring don't shine, Mama's gonna buy you a ice cream cone. I don't know. I'll have to brush up on the words. But that'll put you to sleep, if anything, okay? All right. All right. It's good chatting with you. And we'll talk more. You know, I do have your telephone number too, and I was gonna call you if you didn't text me back today. So, so maybe we can just talk someday. Okay? Alrighty. Good night. Sleep tight. That's all the singing you're gonna get from me. Alrighty. See you later.